What is up, everybody? Um, with another video, man. Hey, bro, we gonna react to This Is Starting to Get Ugly by Jimmy High Roller, you know what I'm saying? Best NBA videos on YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Get into it.
In 2012, the United States assembled one of the greatest basketball teams of all time. Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, along with many other NBA superstars. This team was pretty much a cheat code, beating every team by a lot.
Yeah, the USA Olympic team is not fair at all. Like, the USA is the only team, like, the only country that cares about basketball. So that's just like, that's not even fair, bro.
But no victory was quite as lopsided as their game against Nigeria, when Team USA scored 153 points and beat Team Nigeria by 83.
Jesus.
83 points. The
By
largest
83
margin of
points.
victory in the history of Olympic basketball. And I bring up this monumental defeat because just last week, USA's Olympic basketball team played Nigeria again. And they lost. The United States Olympic basketball team lost to Nigeria. This is a massive turn of events. United States basketball has only lost 5 games in 85 years.
They've only lost 5 games in 85 years. Bro.
All-time record is 138 and 5.
That's
3
crazy.
of those losses occurring during the infamous 2004 Olympic run. So it would be an understatement to say that this does not happen often. The US brought the league's brightest stars to the Olympics, and although this was just an exhibition game, the NBA's best players couldn't weather the storm that Nigeria threw at them. And you're probably thinking, it's just one game, and a game that doesn't even matter at that. What's the big deal?
And Dellavedova with a great punch out to Ingles for the exclamation point. Australia up by 8 with 3 seconds left. And it's 2 straight losses for Team USA.
What?
Yeah. Coming right off their loss against Nigeria, the US lost again to Australia, this time 91-83. Guys, this is not a fluke. Something big is going on here. That's 2 straight losses for Team USA basketball. Again, up until last—
You know what I think it is? It's because they don't want to get hurt, bro. Literally, just about every NBA player got hurt this year. So I think it's probably they just don't want to get hurt. Probably on like 10-15%.
Last week, the US Olympic team had only lost 5 games ever. In 2012, the US walked Australia in the Olympics. And now, this. So, what's going on here? Well, there has been a shift of power in international basketball that has been taking place over the past decade, and we are seeing this shift on full display. For years, the United States was virtually untouchable on the court.
Yeah.
Games almost looking like scrimmages, blowouts within the first quarter. But over the last 10 years or so, international basketball has gotten exponentially better, and in many cases, completely caught up to the level of basketball we see in the NBA. I mean, just look at this. These clips are from the 1992 Olympics, where the US literally looked like an NBA team playing against a junior varsity team with a losing record. These games were more of a formality than anything else. Everyone knew who was taking home the gold before the games even began. Compare that to today's USA team, and not only did Nigeria and Australia outplay the US altogether, they shot better, they rebounded better, they controlled the pace of the game better, they moved the ball better, and I think part of this is because the US team simply underestimated these international teams. Coming out slow, assuming the win would just take care of itself. Of course, this was not the case. But even when the US team came off of their historic loss last week, nothing changed between then and their loss against Australia. What Nigeria and Australia did in these games was a testament to the program they've built for their young talent and how they continue to develop this talent to an NBA standard. And this has taken years to accomplish. In 2012, Nigeria lost to the US by 83. In 2016, they lost to the US by 44. And last week, they beat the US by 3. Not a huge sample size, but certainly a trend is taking place here. And this same trend can be seen throughout the rest of the international basketball world. On Saturday, the U19 FIBA World Cup Finals came down to the United States versus France. And in a game that went down to the final possession, the United States just barely squeaked out a win. The best player on the court was not one of the top 15 recruits the US has to offer. It was a 7'3" demigod from France. The US has spent the last 4 decades with a clear and dominant edge over the rest of the basketball world. But every single year, that edge becomes smaller and smaller. Let's take a look at the best players in the NBA in the 1980s. 1. Only one of the top 20 players of that decade was foreign-born or was of foreign nationality. In the 1990s, the number of top NBA players with foreign nationality jumped to just 2. In the 2000s, that number had a slight jump to 4. And in the 2021 season, out of the consensus top 20 NBA players, 6 are of foreign nationality. But here's
Bro, it's crazy to think that Kyrie's from Australia, bro. Like, what?
what's even crazier. Out of the top 25 NBA players under the age of 27, 10 of them are foreign-born or of foreign nationality. 10. Just a decade ago, this number was maybe 1 or 2. The last 3 MVP awards went to foreign-born players. Luka Doncic, who most fans consider the next face of the league, is foreign-born. This season's runner-up in the MVP was also foreign-born. This season's Defensive Player of the Year, a foreign player. So the international takeover on the league is obvious. But if I had to explain why this is happening and happening at such a rapid rate, I would say that first and foremost, the NBA is a league of situations. There's always going to be superstars who stand out no matter what. But for most players, their success is heavily dependent on the situation they're in and how well they fit. Take Manu Ginobili, an international legend who led Argentina to an Olympic gold medal in 2004, beating the US in the process. In the NBA, he was an incredible player, but he was never the leader of his team. He had a role, and he played that role. But during international tournaments, his role changed drastically, and he was more than capable of being the leader of a gold medal team. Even role players like Patty Mills, Rudy Fernandez, and Luis Scola really shined when they were put in a situation that better suited their abilities. Second, and this is more to do with why the US lost to these other countries, and I know this is a hot take, but it's just flat out harder to score in international play than it is in the NBA. Defenses are tighter, guys are playing for their country, so they take pride in every single possession. The game is less about the individual and more about the team, so there's very little ISO action when players can have the entire possessions to themselves. Every single game is very similar to the intensity of a playoff basketball game, and a lot of these international guys are older and extremely experienced in this environment, whereas the United States is loaded with young talent that has a relatively low experience in these high-intense games. Defense
Bro.
with young talent that has
This is literally a flight shot right here, bro.
a relatively low experience in
And then I remember you tried to win the game with that. Ooh, bro, that make me so mad, bro. Y'all could have been in the Warriors could have been in the playoffs, but you shot that half court shot like, ooh, oh my god, Let me put
these
this
high intense games.
Let's
Defense
play video.
is basically shot in modern US basketball. So most of the time, the goal is to basically hope your shots are falling faster than
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. The defense in the NBA, bro, offense is just too elite now, bro. Like, bro, you can't really stop players on offense anymore on defense.
your opponents.
Crazy.
But when your opponents are scrappy, skilled, hungry veterans who will give 10,000% on both ends, that buckets first mentality goes right out the window. Luka Doncic actually spoke about this when he first came to the NBA, saying that he has a much easier time scoring in the NBA than he did in the EuroLeague. And last and most importantly, the gap between the United States and the rest of the world in basketball comes down to opportunity and resources. For decades, many other countries have had talented young players with the skills to play in the NBA, but the resources and opportunities available to these players was very limited. Oftentimes, foreign facilities aren't nearly as nice. There's less funding, less top-tier coaching available, and less basketball circuits to play in that would give these young, talented athletes the exposure they needed to make it to the next level. There's no better example of this than Arvydas Sabonis, a massive 7'3" super talent from Lithuania and father of NBA All-Star Domantas Sabonis. If Arvydas came to the United States and played in the NBA during his prime, he would have easily been one of the game's great big men. Bill Walton once called Sabonis a 7'3" Larry Bird. Just imagine a far more athletic 7'3" Nikola Jokic. Just look at what he was doing to the United States Olympic team when he was 20 years old. That's not just some random guy he's guarding. That's David Robinson. But growing up in 1970s Lithuania, Sabonis was getting minimal exposure as a young prospect and had difficulty even traveling to the United States after he was drafted in 1986. Fast forward a decade, and Sabonis finally played in his first NBA game as an injury-riddled 30-year-old and was still an incredible player. And the entire timeline of his career was dictated solely on where he was born. I mean, just look at this reaction from broadcasters when the Blazers selected him in the 1986 NBA draft.
For the last pick of the first round of the NBA draft, America's game, the Portland Trailblazers
Okay, that was so
select
disrespectful.
Arvydas Sabonis of the Soviet Union.
Bro, are they booing him? Oh my god, bro. Imagine you getting drafted from a foreign country to the NBA and people start booing when you get drafted. Oh my god. That's tough.
Oh, well, now that's going to be an interesting selection. Good night, nurse.
Ridiculous. Just ridiculous.
Okay, Karen.
Are you stupid or something?
Just the idea of drafting a foreign-born player with no US exposure was damn near impossible for them to wrap their minds around. Fortunately, things have changed since then, and thanks to exposure from the internet and social media and basketball becoming a more worldwide sport, young super talents from countries outside of the US are getting recognition much earlier. Because of the basketball boom that has taken place over the last decade thanks to efforts by Adam Silver and other NBA executives, basketball is now a sport that gets far more resources dedicated to it in these other countries because the idea of a young foreign player actually making it to the NBA is a reality and not just some far-fetched dream. Just ask yourself, would Nikola Jokic have made the NBA in 1980s Serbia? Would a 19-year-old Luka Doncic have ever seen the NBA in 1970s Slovenia? Better training, better facilities, better coaches available to develop these young players. See, the talent has always been there. It's not like Team Nigeria has seen a random surge of great basketball players. It's just that these players now have the tools necessary to really hone in on their talents. And I think this is a trend that will become more and more apparent as time goes on. The rest of the world is catching up to the US in terms of basketball, which is just going to continue to push the league to newer and better heights. More competition breeds better results, and I wouldn't be surprised that if in 10 years the NBA is far more diverse than it is now. As we speak, there's probably some kid in Norway or Japan or Germany who's gonna drop a 50 bomb on someone's head in the 2035 NBA season. In today's NBA, and looking forward to the future, opportunity is given to far more players, and hopefully eventually everyone. And where there's opportunity,
Bro, I wonder what the NBA gonna look like in like 10 years, because LeBron gonna retire. Because bro, all the NBA superstars, they all old. They all like in their 30, like 33 plus. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's pretty old now. So they can't really go too much longer. They only got probably good 4 or 5 good more seasons in, and they are
talented, hardworking individuals will always rise to the top. Whether you're from the United States, Greece, Slovenia, Serbia, or Nigeria. And if you ask me, that's how it should be. Hope you all enjoyed. And as always, until next time.
You know what I'm saying? That was the W video, you know what I'm saying? I seen that the USA get beat by Nigeria, but I ain't really looking into it, you know. But I heard about it. But yeah, I did not know that we getting that many like foreign players in the NBA now. Like, crazy to think about. It really is. But yeah, that's gonna be the end of this video, bro. Like, comment, subscribe, and we out, bro.